in principle, at the very core of the meeting, there was nothing that was fundamentally addressed in terms of a resolution. It was more of a kicking the can down the road, as Scott Kennedy of CSIS would put it. And it was more of a cooling off session where the fight on the ring is in recess. And essentially, the problems were not really addressed at the meeting.
So have things cooled down, though, in terms of a potential trade war in the future?
Well, in the short term, the market was letting out a sigh of relief because there have been positive hopes that this would be a little bit of a break in terms of this ongoing conflict. And there were lots of hopes toward this kind of a small pause. But the essential issues that I mentioned regarding intellectual property theft or JV joint venture contracts that force technological transfers, a lot of these issues regarding Chinese SOEs have not really been fundamentally addressed. And having Robert Lighthizer as the main chief of the task force within the U.S. trade team would make the 90-day negotiation process a lot more tedious than the Chinese actually expect.
In fact, I was reading somewhere that this meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump felt a little bit like the meeting between Trump and the North Korean leader, where there was a lot of fanfare around it, but actually nothing concrete had actually been agreed to.
Exactly, and at the core is the fundamental mismatch between what the U.S. thinks of the Chinese economic performance and Chinese ways of economic activity in the global sphere, and the Chinese perspective vis-a-vis what the U.S. alleges against its economic behavior in the world. And Mike Pompeo's address also touched upon Chinese geopolitical interests. And I think what's coming out of this is that in the U.S. Perspective, from the U.S. perspective, it's quite clear that the Trump administration is trying to amalgamate both trade and geopolitical affairs into one in terms of its strategy. And from the Chinese side, although on surface, it tends to separate trade and economic and geopolitical affairs. Essentially, they are playing the same game.